I want to give all praises and honors to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, and another double honors to the apostles and all the elders and all the Akim out there doing the work in sincerity and in truth. And today, I just got done reviewing a video about how the economy is gonna basically crash. So it's imperative that we start to look at the prophecies and see everything, because Revelations, it is about to really kick off sooner or later. We're really basically in a recession, and sooner or later we're gonna see that the economy one day, we're gonna wake up, or probably gonna be at work one day, and then the economy is just gonna crash all in once, in a second, boom. So the thing is that we need to prepare. So I got this in Revelations 13. So Revelations 13 and 13, and then I'm gonna play a little video about it. And hopefully that'll bring a little bit of clarity of it about the things that are about to take place. Revelations 13 and 13. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from the heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword, and did live. So what that's talking about is Babylon the Great. That nation, basically, that nation that is risen from the Roman Empire. So this is Rome all over again. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So what that is coming to is the prophecy of the RFID chip. That's what's shortly coming to pass. I don't know if it's 2019 or 2020, but it's right around the corner. And I believe it's going to be 2019. It's imperative that people really open up their eyes and really see the things that are happening. So I got a little short video that I'm going to play. I believe it's like 10 minutes. And it's going to show you like how the economy is, how the economists, how they see that, how it's a progression that it keeps declining and it's going down further and further and further down. So I'm going to go ahead and play that video. Hopefully it can make a little bit more sense.
Earlier today, I was greeted by this jarring headline when I visited the Drudge Report. Bonds flash recession warning. It seems these days like the R word is being thrown around constantly, but at this time last year, everyone was celebrating how well the economy was doing. Unfortunately, we have witnessed a dramatic shift in recent months, and we just got some more really bad economic numbers. Now, thanks to those bad numbers and an increasing amount of anxiety about the trade war, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell another 900 points last week. That means that we are on pace to potentially see the Dow fall for a 6th week in a row. And that is something that hasn't happened since the last recession. But right now, investors are far more spooked about what is going on in the bond market. According to Ms. Shedlock, we haven't seen this many yield curve inversions since the start of the Great Recession. On Friday, U.S. Treasury yields plunged at the mid to long end of the curve, providing the most inversions since the start of the Great Recession. This is the biggest recession warning since 2007. In so many ways, what we are witnessing at this moment is very reminiscent of the conditions that prevailed just prior to the last financial crisis. Back then, the economic numbers were definitely starting to slide, but most Americans didn't think that we were heading toward big trouble. But those that understood what was happening were sounding the alarm, and the same thing is happening today. For example, the following comes from a CNBC article entitled "Morgan Stanley Says Economy is on Recession Watch as Bond Market Flashes Warning." Recent data points suggest U.S. earnings and economic risk is greater than most investors may think, wrote Michael Wilson, the firm's chief U.S. equity strategist. Specifically, the stock strategist highlighted a recent survey from financial data firm IHS Markit that showed manufacturing activity fell to a 9-year low in May. That report also revealed a notable slowdown in the U.S. services sector, a key area for an American economy characterized by huge job gains in healthcare and business services. In addition to disappointing manufacturing numbers, we also just learned that orders for capital goods were down significantly during the month of April. The Commerce Department said on Friday orders for non-defense capital goods, excluding aircraft, a closely watched proxy for business spending plans, dropped 0.9% last month as demand weakened almost across the board. Data for March was revised down to show these so-called core capital goods orders rising 0.3% instead of increasing 1.0% as previously reported. Also, we just found out that U.S. home price gains have now fallen for 12 months in a row. When you add those numbers to all of the other depressing economic numbers that have been rolling in lately, a very clear picture emerges. The U.S. economy is heading in the wrong direction and things are steadily getting worse. A resolution to our trade war with China would be a huge economic boost in the short term, but that is not likely to happen for the foreseeable future. In fact, on Monday, President Trump stated that he is not ready to make a deal with China. Bank shares fell broadly amid the lower interest rates. Goldman Sachs dropped 1.8%, while Citigroup and JP Morgan Chase fell 0.9% and 1.1% respectively. Morgan Stanley and Wells Fargo also slipped. The drop in bank shares and rates come after President Donald Trump said on Monday the U.S. was not ready to make a deal with China, before adding he expected one in the future. Trump also said tariffs on Chinese imports could go up substantially. And the Chinese are clearly digging in as well. The chief editor of the Global Times, Hu Kachiki, has a very close relationship with top Chinese officials, and he just warned that China is seriously considering restricting rare earth exports to the United States. While the official at China's national planning body did not directly answer whether Beijing would restrict rare earth exports to the United States, Global Times editor-in-chief Hu Kachiki wrote on Twitter, "Based on what I know, China is seriously considering restricting rare earth exports to the U.S. China may also take other countermeasures in the future." Although the tabloid Global Times is not one of China's official media, it is widely read and is published by the ruling Communist Party's People's Party newspaper. Without rare earth elements, modern society as we have come to know it would not be able to function. Today, rare earth elements are used in the production of cell phones, televisions, computers, DVD players, speakers, cameras, electric car motors, jet engines, satellites, lasers, wind turbines, and superconductors. In other words, without rare earth elements, we would not be able to produce any of those things. And since the Chinese have such a dominant position in the global marketplace, that gives them an incredible amount of power. Of course, the Chinese understand this very well, and shortly after trade talks with the US completely collapsed, Chinese President Xi Jinping made it a point to visit one of the most important rare earth production facilities in China. Needless to say, the purpose of that visit was to send a very clear message to the United States. Once the Trump administration moved to cripple Chinese telecommunications giant Huawei, there was a lot of speculation in the mainstream media that China may consider cutting off rare earth exports to the US in response. If China made such a move, it would take the trade war to an entirely different level. Some are referring to this as China's nuclear option, and they will not use it lightly. But if they do decide to go there, it will be absolutely devastating. China could shut down nearly every automobile, computer, smartphone, and aircraft assembly line outside of China if they chose to embargo these materials, said James Kennedy, president of 3 Consulting, wrote Tuesday in National Defense, that's the U.S. industry publication. Just consider the implications of that statement for a moment. If China wants to do so, they could essentially shut down all auto, phone, computer, and aircraft manufacturers in the United States once their existing supplies of rare earth elements ran out. Now, if I was an executive at one of those companies, I would be hoarding rare earth elements like crazy right now. If we stay on this path, relations with China are going to continue to deteriorate, and that has ominous implications for our future. The 2 largest economies on the entire planet are now locked in a great struggle. Both sides are absolutely determined to emerge victorious. It may not happen immediately, but at some point, the Chinese will be very tempted to cut off all exports of rare earth elements to the United States. And if that happens, we will immediately start hearing squeals of panic from many of the largest U.S. corporations. But the bottom line is this: the U.S. economy would be in a massive amount of trouble if that happened. A deteriorating relationship with China is part of the scenario that we have been anticipating, and events are definitely starting to accelerate now. For most Americans, however, there is no reason to be concerned. Most of us simply trust that our leaders in Washington have things under control and that everything will work out just fine somehow. But if we do plunge into another deep economic crisis, many Americans will be in enormous trouble right away. According to one recent survey, 45% of us rate our financial situations as either fair or poor. Nearly 30% of respondents rate their financial situation as only fair, and 15% say it's poor. Meanwhile, 25% worry all or most of the time that their household income won't be enough to cover their expenses. Their biggest concerns? Saving enough for retirement and unplanned medical costs, with 54% and 51% respectively saying they're very or moderately worried about each prospect. In addition, another recent survey discovered that 59% of all Americans are currently living paycheck to paycheck. Just like last time around, most Americans are living on the edge financially. Just like last time around, millions of Americans will be completely blindsided by an economic train wreck that they didn't see coming.
So let's go ahead and jump to give a closing scripture. Let's go to Proverbs 23 and 23. Buy the truth. Proverbs 23 and 23. Buy the truth and sell it not. Also wisdom and instruction and understanding. So yeah, this video hopefully it can open up your eyes a little bit more to let you know that the RFID chip is on the way. So hopefully you guys can wake up and really see the severity that we are in. So in all, hope your brothers stay safe out there. Stay tuned into these prophecies because we're on our way out of here. Shalom.